everybody, it's Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and it's time to do the letter G for our Jesus Art Journal Challenge. So here's the G, and I put flowers in there, big flowers that I thought would be nice design elements for you if you want to use them. The word grace, and then on the other sheet I put the unearned favor of God, which is what grace is. And there's a scripture about grace, and here's another one, and then amazing grace. So however you want to incorporate those, or if you want to incorporate those, they're there for you. And, you know, don't forget that after you get these sheets, all these 5 sheets, you know, as you go on with your other journals, don't forget that you've got them, because these might go in your junk journals. These little elements can be reused and printed again, so don't forget them. So I'm going to pull my 2 prompts. Oh boy, makes me a little nervous. Okay, I'm gonna just kind of stir these up. All right. Okay. Oh, good. This should be easy. Use 3 different washi tapes. Okay. And this one's sticking out here. Let's see what it is. It says, doodle a border. Okay, I can do that. All right. Well, that wasn't too difficult. All right, so I'm going to put those back away. And I'm going to go cut this stuff out, and then I'll come back and get going. Okay, I pretty much have these things cut out. So now I'm trying to think a little bit about how I want it to look, my composition. And I'm going to cut this up, I think. So that will probably fit up here. And I want my G. And some sort of an arrangement of that. And then this, I'm going to cut these leaves off because they're cut off on the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those off, I think. I'm not really sure. I was just going to use the one big flower that's on the sheet, but I kind of like these, so. Okay, so that lets me put that down here. I don't have much choice of that. And then I've got one bird, another bird. And that bird pretty much has to come on this side. Kind of like this bird looking at the words. I wonder if I put it down here, if this bird would fit. I wouldn't mind it going over the G a little bit either. All right, so I'm just going to do a background, probably some sort of a blue. And I mentioned I was going to put some plastic over my journal because it's getting pretty messed up, which is okay, but I have a feeling it might be really messed up by the end. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. Try to work on it like that. Move all my paper into my folder so I don't lose it, and putting it in this envelope and then putting it in a folder just so I keep it separate from the rest of it. And then my smaller one, boy, I don't know about you, but I am my own worst enemy when it comes to finding stuff. I put stuff on top of stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, so here is, boy, that got super curled up, didn't it? Ooh. All right, I just chopped up a piece of plastic that I had in the trash. I'm gonna just kind of wrap that around there. I may use this small flower on here and come up with my own G as usual. Kind of need that blue background on this too. So I'm going to scrap I'm going to do some scrapping on these. You know, you never know what's going to show and what isn't. A lot of times the paint just covers it right up. Okay, now I didn't gesso this. It's just the paper. So hopefully this will seal it. And I'm primarily going to do blue since this is going to be sort of a sky. And I don't know that I'm going to do, I may just do a little bit of scrapping. I don't need to necessarily do the whole thing. So I hope you guys are having fun, the ones that are doing this, the ones that are watching me do this. I'm really having a good time playing with the art supplies and thinking about what God's saying to me about this subject, you know. Grace is a cool one. Undeserved favor from God. Oh, aren't we glad? Aren't we glad? Aren't we glad we're saved by grace, not by what we do? I would be in trouble. Just gonna say that right now. Okay. I put so I have a series out there. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's called Humanizing Your Journal. And so it's for people who, you know, sometimes if you use a digital kit, if you've got to add those touches of hand-done things to it to make it warmer. And so I have this series called Humanizing Your Journal, which it's for any kind of junk journal, really. But anyway, I just put one out there on these syringe ink bottle, and it's for putting colored ink in and writing with it. And oh my goodness, if you haven't seen it, you might want to go check it out, because it's a new little tool that I hadn't seen before. And you know, I want to write with white ink, but my white ink pens just always skip, and they're just, you can't really depend on them. Like if you want to go writing something across, you can't count on those pens. So this lets you do that, and it also lets you use other colors too. So okay, I'm going to let this one dry, and then I will go ahead and paint the little one. You know, I've told you guys before, like when you get paint or anything, make yourself a palette so you know what colors you have. I have not done that, so I still have these paints that I'm not sure how they're going to come out, so I need to do that really bad. But until then, I'm going to just continue on. So I'm going to start with white, zinc white, golden. This is the fluid. I think it should be okay. So I have phthalo blue green shade, and I have ultramarine blue. So I'm going to try a little bit of both just for fun. And this is the high flow. So that is phthalo blue. And that's what that looks like. Woo-wee! And I'm going to try just a little bit of the other one, ultramarine. So it's a little more of a purple blue, a little cooler blue. And I'll wipe these off while they're... Tim Holtz got on us. I was watching a video, and he was reminding us, like, clean off your brush tops and your screw lids, or you will have a big mess. And he is so right. So I'm just gonna leave it like this. I don't really want it to be smooth this week, I don't think. So I'm gonna leave it like that, and I'm gonna put a little bit more white. Well, I am going to play with my stencils. So I was going to use some modeling paste and do a texture, but I've honestly got so many pieces of artwork that I want glued to it and words that I don't think I have room for all of that. So what I'm going to do instead, for interest and just to play with this, is I am going to use my blue paint, And I'm going to just use it through stencils on top of each other, and see what happens. And just make a blue sky out of all different textures and see if that works. See what that looks like. And then if it's too crazy, I will put some white gesso on top of it and fix it. I am going to use some of these Dilutions blues. These look like the most obvious suspects. This is the paint that I bought without knowing what it was. And it's kind of weird, and what you're supposed to do, come to find out, is put it on a palette, smoosh it around with your dauber, and then daub it through stencils or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do. So this one is Vibrant Turquoise. So I'm just going to squeeze some out on the palette. This is almost the same color, Blue Lagoon. And then this one looks more like the ultramarine, and it is called the Blue Hawaiian. And it is the cooler blue. So I'm just going to play with my stencils. And I'm not even going to be that picky about which ones I use. I'm going to go ahead with the same color, different stencil. This is fun though. I have to say, this is really fun. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to mix some of these other ones together a little bit. Just use what I have and just, wow. Yeah, I have a feeling I'll be going back with some white later. And actually, I could have mixed white in. Oh, that would have been smart. And I'm just going to use regular, so that's going to affect it because it's not the same paint. So but as it fills in, it sort of does quiet down because there's not as much white vibrating with it. Put all my templates in water. I'm done with the dilutions, I think. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, and this is like dry already, so pretty much there's a couple little wet spots up there, but this is all dry. So I think now I'm going to go back with white. I'm going to grab this hexagon and my sponge brush and see what happens if I take white and I'm not doing, of course, the whole thing. I'm just doing some of it. Ooh, that doesn't, I went over there, the template's not that big, so I have to. Okay, so now I'm a little concerned this might be too busy for everything to show. So let me look. Let me pull out. So if I lay that over it, that's pretty busy. So I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to go over it with some white gesso, I think, and just blot it over it and kind of tone it down, I think. We'll see. We'll see if that works. And I'm just going to and I don't really want brush lines in it. So I'm going to take this old wet wipe that's not wet anymore, and I'm just going to kind of wipe it back. Kind of scrub it out a little bit so those brush marks aren't so obvious. Okay, so let's take this back out. Lay that on there. And let me try the bird too. I think that's better. Let me try the bird. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think the fact that they're a different color will help too. Back to this one. I think, you know what? I kind of like that daubing on. I'm going to try that with this paint. Well, that is a blue sky, isn't it? If that's what that is. Okay, so this is dry, and I'm going to use this flower on here. And I was looking through my stuff, and I just wanted to remind you, and I know you know this, but don't feel like you have to try to use everything on the sheets that I give you on Etsy, because I try to give you a lot of stuff, but then you can pick from it, because whatever's left over you can use in your junk journals or other things, your art journal next week. So for instance, I don't think I'm going to use the Amazing Grace. So I'm going to put that in my stash and use it in my junk journal. I'm going to use this on the small one. I'm going to cut it up. And I'm going to use this flower for my little focal point. So now I'm going to draw my G. And right away, I realize I should have inked that. Oh, well, that's the way it goes. I guess I will go ahead. I'm trying to think, like, what do I need to do? You know, I talk about composition. This is where I get into trouble, is not taking the time to arrange things the way I want them to be. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this apart and kind of figure out what I want to do with that. I'm going to go ahead and glue this and hope I'm not making a mistake. And then I'm going to freehand Grace, I think. All right, so to even it out, I'm going to do this on all the edges then. So it looks intentional. Okay, well, disaster somewhat averted, I guess you could say. Just write it along there. And this is sort of like the doodling that I was supposed to do. I was supposed to doodle a border. I'm going to do another stitch doodle like I did last week because I kind of like the way that looked. The favor of God. And I suppose I could doodle my old tried and true doodle, which is this one. And then I'm going to do washi tape. Got a bunch of these copper foil ones. Oh, I need to glue this though. Let's see, where's my art glitter glue? Okay, so there is that. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did last week. Instead of cutting this out with the X-Acto knife, or I'm being lazy, and just going to fill it in a little bit with some blue watercolor, I think. So let's see what color that, I think that'll work. Okay, I think that one's done. Okay, so back to the big one. Where is mine? There it is. There's my G, Grace. Okay, I'm going to stop and call it done. So there is my grace page. And here's my other grace page. And I guess that's it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I always forget this. Forgot to put my prompts on. So I'm going to stick those on the edge. I think I'll put one on one edge and one on the other. But anyway, I hope you guys are doing this with me, and I hope you're having a good time. And where'd my other prompt go? There it is. Doodle a border. Ought to go by the border. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to stick this one over here. But anyway, I hope you guys had fun doing this, or at least watching it, watching me do this. Obviously not perfection, but learning stuff as we go, and that's all I care about. And learning about God and the Bible and good stuff like that. So, all right. There's that. And there's that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.